Near mint condition, the home of collected editions.
That cover's so awesome.
Absolute format is the best way to own this store. Time to empty those wallets and fill those shelves. How's it going, all you minties? Uncanny Omar here from Near Mint Condition, the home of collected editions, and join me today for your advanced look at some of the early DC's finest books from DC Comics. So let's go ahead and take a look at these together. And welcome back, everybody. Before going any further, a big thank you to the folks at DC for sending us advanced copies of the first wave of DC's finest. So we are going to talk about what exactly is the DC's finest list and try to give you a quick glimpse as to the inside of the books and what it collects. So I do have them separated by release date, so we'll be talking about Batman first, then Superman, Wonder Woman, and then Justice League of America. But here are the covers, and one thing you'll notice is the new DC logo that they've changed it back to, that bullet from the 80s, the one that I grew up with. So it's really nice to see that back, and now we have the final covers here. So this is what the front of the book looks like, and the back of each of these books, presenting DC's finest stories, telling you a little bit about what exactly is the DC's finest line, and then a little bit about what the stories that you're going to find in here are like. But the way that they're keeping track of these books and when they take place is they give you a year, all the way from the Golden Age in 1938 to 2011, meaning that they are going to collect books all the way up until the Flashpoint era, when the universe was reset. So that at least we do have, as of right now, they could expand on that later on, just like the Marvel Epics have over the years with the introduction of the modern Epic collections. But for right now, you're going to see exactly what years are collected in here and what exactly is collected in here. So ISBN down here, and each of these books retailing for $39.99. What DC is doing with these DC's finest books is giving you a great jumping on point for a lot of these characters, so you can start your own collection of Batman without having a volume number on the spine, just the years of Superman if you want to follow that character. And they're not releasing them in chronological order, like there's no volume 1, 2, even though this is really volume 1. But when you're looking at something like Wonder Woman, they're jumping back and forth between Golden Age and Modern Age, and then maybe some Silver Age later down the line. And they're really going through their catalog. Like, we're getting Peacemaker, we're getting Legion of Superheroes. So I know people are super excited about these books, and it gives you that sense of collecting when it comes to, you know, getting, if you're just interested in the Justice League, you're just getting years 1966 to 1969 while you wait on the other years, while you wait on books that were coming out in the 80s, while you wait on books that were coming out in the 90s or the early aughts. Kind of like that feeling of collecting the epics where they release them out of order. That's what these are. So again, we need to come up with a term for filling in those gaps as they come out. Gapification, I think, is what the gappiness. Somebody says gappiness. But anyway, that kind of gives you an idea of how they are releasing these and what exactly these are. Here is the way they are going to look on your shelf. You have the DC Finest logo up there, what the name of the book is, and then the year. So they don't give you a volume number, they give you the years, just like they do in the back. You'll have 1986 and 1987 here, but it's Batman year 1 and year 2. And then the first superhero, Origins and Omens, and the bridge between Earths. And the picture down here in full color of the characters you're going to be seeing inside of these books. So again, you have the years, and we'll go over these in a little bit one by one. But the DC logo, back again, that DC bullet from my youth, and now it's back. So we're going to take a quick look at each one of these books, and I'll tell you the release date and the page count and what kind of stories to expect from each of these. And this, again, it's just the beginning because they are releasing these in non-chronological order. Like, you have Batman here, and then we have like The Killing Joke will be the next book, which happens right after this one. Superman, this is starting in the Golden Age. I do love the fact that we are starting, you know, with 4 different eras. We have the 80s right here. We have what I still consider the modern era right here from 2007 to 2009. And we have the very beginning right here with the Golden Age era. So from 1938 to 1940. and then the Silver Age era right here from 1966 to 1969, getting ready to go into the Bronze Age. All right, so let's take a look at Batman together, and then we'll look at each one of these really quick to kind of give you an idea of what to expect. All right, let's go ahead and open up the very first DC's Finest book. This one is the one that's going to be released on November 5th or 6th, depending on where you get your books. All these books, by the way, are soft covers. The trim size is that of a trade paperback or a single issue. Here's your title page, DC's Finest, Batman Year 1 and 2, and your table of contents. This book has 632 pages and retails for $39.99. And your table of contents will tell you where you're going to find each of these issues, when they originated, and the cover artist. What they don't tell you is the creators behind each of these issues, because that can be found within the actual issue right here, for example. So we are looking at the post-Crisis on Infinite Earths comics right here. And see what I mean? To give the credits within here with the first appearance of Magpie, which will become a villain, thorn in Batman's side at the very beginning. So collected here is Batman 404 to 414, Batman Annual number 11, and then Detective Comics 571 to 581. So in here you are going to find the work of Mike W. Barr, Frank Miller, David Mazzucchelli, Max Allan Collins, and Norm Breyfogle. And that's just to name a few. Of course, you also have, like, Todd McFarlane. So for the first time ever, it's really cool to see Batman Year 1, the very origin story of Batman, collected along with Batman Year 2. Because these aren't creator-centric books. These aren't omnis that are like Batman by Frank Miller, or Batman by Max Allan Collins, or Mike W. Barr. This is Batman released in chronological order and collected for the first time in that order of release dates. So you're not going to find the Full Circle storyline in here, because remember, this is 1986 and 1987, and Full Circle, which is the follow-up to Batman Year 2, didn't come out until, I think it was August of 1991, so that will not be in here. Now, the very first thing that I'm going to look at, because I talked a little bit, and Jason Todd is Robin during this particular time. I wanted to come back here to talk about this, Batman Year 1. So Batman Year 1 has been collected many times, right? It's part of an Absolute Edition, it's Deluxe Edition, it's hardcover, it's trade paperback. But one of the most important things to me, at least as a reader, is what version of Year 1 scans are they using. So I do have Batman Year 1 Absolute Edition right here with me, because remember, they come with the new colors and they come with the original colors. So really quick, just to kind of give you an idea, this is the new colors, and what they're using here are the original colors for Batman Year 1. These are the new modernized colors, and then this is what the original colors look like. So in the Absolute Edition, they actually released two versions in the same slipcase. So you can come back here to see what the original colors look like. Of course, this is mimicking that newsprint type of paper stock. But as you can see, we're back to those original colors. And as far as paper stock, I do want to talk about that here in a second. But here are the collections of those first 1986, 1987 post-Crisis on Infinite Earths Batman stories. You have Alan Davis doing a lot of the artwork. You have the reintroduction of Jason Todd. You'll see Jason Todd early on, but then you'll have his origin story, how Batman found him trying to jack the Batmobile's tire. Now, I want to go ahead and look at Batman Year 2, because this is Batman Year 2, and it looks like what they're using for this are the new scans from the Deluxe Edition. So here's the Deluxe Edition, and this does have new colors. And just to kind of give you an idea of how it looks, yeah, so it looks like they're using the new color scans. And I don't have my original trade paperback handy, but I do have my original comic here, so I can kind of give you an idea of what the colors look like. I could tell that these were the new colors just because it's got that, you know, almost perfect coloring style. And here we go. So this is what the original colors look like in the comic book single issue, and then this is what the colors in the DC's Finest look like. So they are using the new masters from here. So that kind of gives you an idea of what this is, reintroducing the character. You have some wonderful Todd McFarlane artwork here against the Reaper. Stories with Two-Face and stories with the Scarecrow and the Penguin. And then again, Jason Todd's years as Robin. And let's go ahead and look at the next book. Superman, The Coming of Superman. So what we're looking at here is really volume 1 of Superman. I do love the fact that they're giving you the years back here. And it's going to be so cool to see these collected over time, just how much of these they're going to fill in. All right, so this is the very beginning of not just Superman comics, but we're talking about like superhero comics, table of contents. Now, this is going to be a little bit different because they didn't give credit within the stories as to who the writer was and who the artist was and the colorist. So what they do here, so all stories are by Jerry Siegel and art by Joe Shuster, unless otherwise noted, and it'll be noted within here. So your table of contents will note who the writer was and who the inker was at the time, if they had information on that. Sometimes, unfortunately, like with the colorist, they go uncredited. So this does collect Action Comics 1 through 25, Superman 1 through 5, New York World's Fair #1, and the book has 584 pages and retails for $39.99. So in here, without going too much into details, this is the very beginning of superhero comics. This is something new that they were introducing to readers, right? There wasn't anything like this before. There were comic strips, but as far as like a collection of a single superhero's adventure, this was completely new. And they weren't really just meant for kids, even though most of this probably is. There are some adults that were reading this stuff, and it was like a new form of entertainment for them. And these stories are mainly about Superman being your social crusader, and fighting for those people that are oppressed across mainly America, because that's where this mainly takes place. Now, you are also introduced to supporting cast members that will play a huge part in Superman's life, like Jimmy Olsen, like Lois Lane, the Daily Planet. And then you also have, for the most part, we're talking about villains that he's fighting that are just crime bosses and characters like that. But you do get appearances in here of some other big characters, like the Ultra Humanite, which is Superman's first super villain. You get Medini, Lex Luthor, and his first appearance through these very pages in Action Comics number 23. And you get all the stories that you need from the early adventures of Superman in one collection, like from the very beginning, and just reading his adventures, taking down villains, whether they're super villains or not, or just normal villains with normal human strength. But they all appear through here, and then you see that persona of Clark Kent and Superman also being introduced through here. You'll see a little bit of evolution in the artwork, too, especially like the S in his costume and how it looks from the very beginning in the Action Comics all the way till you get to the end of this book. Now, in the back of this one, there's no extras, but there is an ad for the other DC's Finest. It's going to be crazy here in like 5 years' time how this is going to look. They're going to have to go over to these spots right here to cover it up. But that is Superman, the first superhero. DC's Finest, Wonder Woman, Origins, and Omens. And here we have Gail Simone, Aaron Lopresti, Terry Dodson, and Rachel Dodson taking the top billing. So they do that for each of these books. They give some of the creators the top billing, and Wonder Woman, Origins, and Omens. The years are 2007 to 2009. I love the fact that it's there and here. Again, no volume number, but filling in these particular years, you can put them in chronological order on your shelf. So this is a little bit different than the Gail Simone era of Wonder Woman, which has been collected in trade paperbacks, and it's been collected in an omnibus edition, because this collects things that she also did not write. So this collects Wonder Woman 14 through 35, which is Gail Simone, but also collects Outsiders, 5 of a Kind, Wonder Woman and Grace #1, and Brave and the Bold #7. This book has 584 pages, and again, retails for $39.99. Here's your table of content. And we kick it off with the Wonder Woman and Grace special, which is both of them fighting in Themyscira right here. And this has been collected in the 5 of a Kind trade paperback. And this Brave and the Bold issue has been collected in the Brave and the Bold standard size hardcover and trade paperback. But it is absolutely so awesome to see it collected in a Wonder Woman collection. It is just a team up between Power Girl and Wonder Woman, written by Mark Waid and drawn by the legendary George Perez. And then we kick off the era of Wonder Woman by Gail Simone. So during this era, we do have variant covers, not as much as we do nowadays, but the variant covers are on the opposite side, if they had it, of the regular cover. So they're on the opposite side, if they had it. So this is beginning the story called The Circle. And this is pretty much an army of Olympians that have risen to just claim more on the world. Now, this is also during the time when Wonder Woman was working for the Department of Meta-Human Affairs, and she was working with Nemesis, and she is going by another identity. She's going by Diana Prince. So she has Wonder Woman as her superhero name, and as the agent, she is known as Diana Prince. And here you'll see all kinds of villains that show up from her past, plus some new villains. Now, it's not just the Circle that's collected in here. You also have stories in here like that feature Beowulf and Claw and Stalker, who were a couple of like fantasy characters. And we see her return to Themyscira. So these are very important stories to the character of Wonder Woman that kind of set the future of Wonder Woman up until 2011, after Gail Simone ended up leaving the book. And then we had Flashpoint, and then of course we had the Brian Azzarello and Eduardo Rizzo run. But this is the beginning of that run, and it's one of my all-time favorite Wonder Woman stories. I love it. I think it's a great entry point to the character, because Gail Simone just has this amazing ability to catch you up to date with what's going on in Wonder Woman's life, and also all these quick little throwbacks to these characters that you may not be aware of that play an important role in her life, whether it's Artemis or whether it is Hippolyta or Cheetah. And that's just to name a few. I forgot that the Rise of the Olympian is also in here, which is another story arc that features, this time around, I think it's Bernard Chang and Aaron Lopresti doing the artwork, because I know Terry Dotson's the one that kicked it off at the very beginning. But yeah, Rise of the Olympian, and this is the story with Zeus getting involved with the Amazons. Now, let's look at, again, some more ads in the back, at the last book and talk a little bit about the build of these. This is Justice League of America, The Bridge Between Earths. And he gives you exactly what that cover implies. This meeting between different Earths of the Justice Society of America and the Justice League. So we're looking at the Silver Age era, 1966 to 1969 of the Justice League. So this would really be like volume 2 of Justice League, because as you can tell from the build of this tells you exactly what it collects. Justice League 45 to 72 from June of 1966 to June of 1969. And again, telling you the penciler and the cover artist. They do give you a little warning here. The comics reprinted in here were products of their time. But I'd rather they give you that instead of just not reprinting the books. So you are going to see a lot of crossovers with the Justice Society. You're going to see a lot of characters show up through here that you're probably very familiar with because of the Justice Society comics. But at this time, the way those characters were being reintroduced to the DC universe were through these crossovers where one Earth would go into Earth 2. So you're going to see characters like Mr. Terrific and Johnny Thunder, but also Justice League members like Green Lantern and Hawkman and the Atom and the Flash. Batgirl also playing a part in this. Batman, Robin, Zatanna. Just to name a few of those characters appearing through these very pages. Obscure characters later on, like the Shaggy Man and Antimatter Man, and characters like that. You're going to see Felix Faust, the Lord of Time, and Elongated Man, Wildcat. So it's really cool. It's a big historical part of the DC universe to have a multiverse building, and this is where it really began. Well, it really began in The Flash, which, hey, I think that is the next DC's Finest book that is coming out. But this is really like what fans wanted at the time. They wanted crossovers between the two different Earths, Earth 1 and Earth 2, just crossing over all the time, and it seems to happen quite a lot through here. Now, one thing you probably notice as I'm flipping through here are the pages like this. Like, why is it that in mid-story there's a DC logo? During this time, both Marvel and DC were putting ads in the middle of their stories. So there would be an ad here, and you'd have the comic book panels up here. So it's not like they're taking something out of the book, rest assured. They're not doing that. It's just that they were putting ads at the time, so when it comes to the reprints, they can't, or I guess they didn't want to reprint the ad, so they just put the DC logo down there. And again, it's using the new DC, the new old DC retro bullet logo. Oh, the Creeper. Forgot he shows up through this. All right, so let's talk about the build of these, because they're all identical. This book has 616 pages. All these so far, with the exception of Batman, have ads for the other DC's Finest books. Some have more than the others do. Now, these are pretty big books. The paper stock they're using for this is the satin paper stock. It's not glossy paper stock. It kind of reminds me of the Marvel Epics, honestly. So it's got a satin finish to it. It's not matte paper. It's not newsprint paper, but it does have that satin finish to it. So there's a little bit of bleed through happening, but honestly, I didn't really notice going back and rereading some of these stories. It is, of course, a trade paperback, meaning that all these are glued binding. And so far, mine have held up rather well. There's no crease in the spine or anything. I mean, we're not dealing with compendiums, right? Like, those are big, big, thick books. Even though these are pretty thick themselves. I mean, some of these have over 600 pages. But colors look great in this paper stock. They really pop. Especially colors like here, which, of course, this particular era has been collected before in omnibus format. There were the DC Archives format. There was the Showcase format, but that wasn't in color. But the touch-up and restoration they did on these are just great, and they look great in this paper stock. I mean, the same can be said about, the Golden Age Superman too, which again has been collected as part of the DC Archives and omnibus formats and trade paperbacks over the years. But here we have it finally coming out in a chronological order. But that is it. That's your first look at the first 4 books from DC Comics, the DC's Finest. That, as they say, is that. And that was the content, the page count, and build of these first DC's Finest books. Let me know in the comments down below which ones you are picking up, which series you're going to follow, if you follow a character, if you follow a team, or if you're going to try them all out because this is the way that you were hoping DC collected all of their comics one day. If you have any questions, leave them down below. Don't forget to smash that like button, subscribe, and ring that bell for notifications. Everyone, stay healthy and safe out there. Much love.